Countries to be the world's next manufacturing hub, top 5. China's weakened global position could be the blessing countries need to boost investment and grow their manufacturing sectors. There's a reason China has been named the world's factory. According to data published by the United Nations Statistics Division, China accounted for almost 30% of global manufacturing output in 2018. China earned this status in a relatively short space of time. According to The Economist, in 1990, China produced less than 3% of global manufacturing output. It first overtook the U.S., previously the world's manufacturing superpower, in 2010. But the U.S.-China trade war, started by former President Donald Trump, has prompted many companies to re-examine global supply chains. Climate risks, cyber attacks, and the ongoing pandemic are only accelerating this trend. In this uncertain trade environment, a growing number of countries are hopeful that they could replace China as the world's next major manufacturing hub. So which countries will take over a lot of China's manufacturing sector? Let's start at number 5 and walk our way to the top of the list. At number 5, we find Singapore. Singapore's manufacturing prowess has somewhat depleted in recent years. While manufacturing contributes about 30% of the GDP of Taiwan and South Korea, it makes up just 19% of Singapore's. However, the trade war and the coronavirus pandemic could change this. As a trade hub with liberal trade and investment policies and a history of stable economic growth, Singapore is well positioned to boost its manufacturing capabilities and capitalize on this opportunity. However, like Malaysia, Singapore is also struggling with the knock-on effects of decreased demand from China. The export-dependent country has seen its manufacturing output slump as a result of the trade war, a sign that the country could benefit from greater independence from China. At number 4, we find Malaysia. Between 2018 and 2019, the Malaysian island of Penang saw a surge in foreign investment. Much of this came from the U.S., which spent $5.9 billion in Malaysia in the first 9 months of 2019, up from $889 million the year before, according to the Malaysian Investment Development Authority. U.S. chipmaker Micron Technology announced it would spend $1.5 billion over 5 years on a new drive assembly and test facility. However, the loss of trade from China has hit Malaysia hard. Many tech firms in Penang rely on China for as much as 60% of their components and materials. At number 3, we find India. In recent years, India has significantly stepped up efforts to attract manufacturing investments into the country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Made in India initiative is designed to help the country replace China as a global manufacturing hub. A cornerstone of this plan involves encouraging the world's biggest smartphone brands to make their products in India. In June of 2021, the country launched a $6.6 billion initiative program to boost electronics manufacturing production in the country. So far, however, the country has seen only modest gains from the trade war. Many leading analysts blame India's stringent regulatory environment. On the Organization for Economic Development's FDI Regulatory Restrictiveness Index, India ranks as low as 62nd out of 70 countries. At number 2, we find Mexico. A lesser-known beneficiary of the trade war is Mexico. In a report, the investment bank Nomura pointed out that Mexico could become a top destination for U.S. companies, with the country having set up 6 new factories in a range of sectors between April 2018 and August 2019. In addition, Taiwan-based manufacturers Foxconn and Pegatron, known as contractors for Apple, are among a number of companies currently consider shifting their operations to Mexico. Mexico's proximity to the U.S. poses a major advantage as U.S. companies embrace nearshoring. The Trump administration was exploring financial incentives to encourage firms to move production facilities from Asia to the U.S., Latin America, and the Caribbean, but this seems to have taken a back seat during President Biden's administration. At number 1, and the country most likely to gain the most from the current change of status quo, we find Vietnam. So far, Vietnam has been one of the main beneficiaries of the U.S.-China trade war, absorbing much of the manufacturing capacity that China lost. As well as cheap labor and stable politics, the country boasts increasingly liberalized trade and investment policies that make it an attractive place for businesses looking to diversify out of China. Some of the biggest names in tech have relocated some of their operations to Vietnam since tensions between the two powers soured. In early May 2020, Apple announced it would produce roughly 30% of its AirPods for the second quarter in Vietnam instead of China. If you enjoyed this video, hit those like and follow buttons and get access to more business and finance top 5 videos.